So welcome again, all of you, for today's class. So today we'll be doing the some reactions. We'll be discussing. The last class we mostly tried to understand the fundamentals of photochemistry and some aspects of the chemistry related to carbonyl compounds. Today, actually, I thought to discuss two topics. One is cis-trans isomerization, another is Paterno-Bucci reaction. Okay, so you are, I think, a bit familiar with these two. Now, cis-trans, when we talk particularly, it doesn't mean that so-called you have to have a similar group always. Okay, so why it is not showing? So you have just need to look at if you have molecule, say suppose A, uh, B, B, A, we generally call this is cis. So your conversion, uh, we have so A, B, A, B. So this is generally the technically we call cis-trans changes, but in the examples we may not have the exactly same groups here like A, B, B. You may have A, B, C, D. Now based on your priority, uh, we are considering. But I think it is more convenient to tell more proper will be uh, easy conformation or EZ type. Okay, so that includes cis trans as well as easy all. And Paterno-Bucci reaction is uh, generally we have the formation of uh, the four-membered ring. Okay, so four-membered ether. Okay, so that type of product formation. Okay, but we'll be discussing more details on that. So first of all, let us come to the cis-trans isomerization of alkenes. Okay, now the most commonly observed photochemical reaction of alkene in solution uh, is the cis-trans isomerization that can occur by both direct and sensitized irradiation. So in the last class we have talked about the direct and sensitized uh, reactions, right? So here actually we can have both chemistry, okay, based on the situation. This isomerization reaction is usually associated with pi star because you have alkene and it offers the pi and pi star of the molecular orbitals where we see the electronic transition happens. Okay. Now the singlet triplet splitting, okay, the gap, energy gap between singlet and singlet in the sense excited singlet, or we can tell like S1 and T1, okay, more specifically. That energy gap is generally larger for alkenes, okay, that gap is generally larger for alkene. Ethylene, it is around 70 kilocalorie per mole. In the last class, we have seen when the gap is too high, we generally don't see the transition from S1 to T1. Okay, we have discussed for uh, butadiene. There we have seen the S1 T1 gap was around 47 kilocalories. Still, we didn't find the transition occurring. Okay. Now here for ethylene, the gap is far more, it's around 70. So as a result, the intersystem crossing is slow and inefficient. So means is far slow, so that almost not seen. Okay. Therefore, direct irradiation of alkene induces singlet excited state reaction. So what we see, the chemistry is from singlet excited state. Okay. So the chemistry cis-trans isomerization occurs for the alkene is based on its singlet excited state generally. Okay. Now we can access the triplet state, and for that what we have to do, we have to take the help of sensitizer. In that case, what we will find, your sensitizer molecule like benzophenone or kind of ketone, they will be responsible to absorb light, and it will place its, it will come down to its triplet state T1, and a suitable T1 which is higher than the T1 of our molecule of interest alkene to a certain value, okay, not far high, like within 10 kilocalorie gap. If the sensitizer's T1 state is at that situation, then we'll see the sensitization process or the energy transfer process will happen from the T1 of the sensitizer to the T1 of the alkene, and then alkene will be having excited uh, uh, with its T1 state. Okay, and then we can get the cis-trans isomerization reactions from the T1 state. Now, the excitation of a planar alkene like ethylene results initially in the formation of planar excited state, okay, according to the Frank-Condon principle, because during the excitation, as you come across that Frank-Condon principle is being maintained, so there will be no change in geometry during the excitation. Okay, so the initially what we will see is that the planar alkene will be producing planar excited state. The initially from this planar excited state, the Pipe-Oyster species, whatever or wherever as a singlet or a triplet relaxes by rotation. So whether it is a triplet or a singlet, what we will find is that you have a rotation of the terminal groove methylene, in the case of particularly ethylene, through 90-degree, okay, around the central bond to give the lowest energy conformer possible. So what happens? You have first the excited state, flat molecule will be generated, planar molecule, okay, excited state. Then it will try to relax, so it will be twisted, and you will have a rotation around the axis or around the bond, okay, to the 90-degree, and you will have a new conformer which is considered to be or measured to be the lowest energy of lowest energy. Okay, so let us look at how things happen. You have the initially this is your S0. Okay, now what happens when you are shining light, Pipe-Oyster transition is happening, you have biradical formation. Okay, now your double bond is now in a nature of single bond. So this state is of high energy. Sorry, this is the opposite. It should be opposite. Uh, so you have a higher energy for this S1, and this is maintaining the Frank-Condon planar state. Now you have 90-degree rotation around this. So what we see is that you have a change. Okay, So this is the relaxed to its state having the minimum energy. So it will come to that state. And then you have suitable product formation later on. Okay, so direct irradiation of the simplest alkene whose lambda max is below 200 nanometer is difficult to achieve, definitely, because uh, gaining that high energy is difficult. So difficult to achieve as a result of high energy absorption. However, with more substituted alkene, the absorptions are pushed to above 200 nanometer, and then uh, we can have the chemistry. So direct excitation can be possible for that case. Okay. Now, direct excitation of alkene in a non-sensitized route. So the mechanism by which the cis-trans isomerization occur in terms of the sample model involves the excitation of the electron to a planar excited state, as I told, which subsequently relaxes to its twisted state. So this is the twisted state. Okay, a small activation energy of 2 kilocalorie per mole is required to twist the planar trans singlet to the twisted singlet state. Okay, so 2 kilocalorie energy differences. Decay from this twisted state can give either cis or trans Stilbene. So if you consider the Stilbene, say suppose you have pH at that, okay, in the next slide, I have the more details. Okay, so here if you look at, you have cis Stilbene, you have trans Stilbene. Okay, so you are shining light. What is happening initially? It is making the excited S1 individually, and then it is getting its twisted form. So that energy differences is told as near about 2 kilocalorie. So this is 2 kilocalorie per mole. Okay, now this is the common state is I mean it's forming from both the conformer, from cis and trans. Okay, so when it is forming, now it can finally generate the other isomer. So from cis, if it is forming, it can move to trans, and from trans, it can move to cis, okay, via this particular state. So you have further rotation, and then you have the product formation. So the trans form absorbs more light at the the exciting wavelength. So your molar extinction coefficient you will find as at lambda max is around 16,000, okay, 300. Whereas for cis it is around 3,000, so 2,880, okay. And consequently, the trans isomer is converted almost completely into the cis. So what we see is that this conversion is the general phenomena we see. Okay, cis to trans can also occur, but general way of finding is the trans to cis, because trans has the more chances of absorbing light, and more conversion is possible because your quantum yield will be more in that case. The synthetic utility, okay, so value of if you talk about for that synthetic utility, so cis-trans isomerization lies in the fact that the more stable alkene can be readily converted to the less stable alkene. So what does it tell? Because trans we know is the more stable, right? More stable. So you can convert the more stable to less stable. Okay, so that is the importance of this chemistry. Now examples, couple of examples. So this is one of the examples just I discussed, trans Stilbene to cis Stilbene. Now we have other things. Here you find like you see the changes. What I was trying to tell at the beginning, you have carboxylic acid. Here you have, I mean, toluene group, right? And here two hydrogens. So this is, we cannot call trans, we can call this is E, right? This is E. And this is Z or Z. So EZ changes is happening. Okay. Similarly, this is E, this is Z. Okay. So these are the things happens. Here also you have the similar thing. This is 1 2, this is 1 2. So this is E, this is Z. Okay. We have one. What is happening? This is the reverse, right? This is
Z.
Z. This is E. Okay. So this is 1 2. This is 1 2. Here in this case you have two hydrogen. This is E. This is Z. So you have both chances. If you have E form, you can make Z form. If you have Z form, you can make E form. Okay, so these are the things we find. It's a very simple one. Now let us look at the sensitized route. So sensitized cis-trans isomerization. So sensitized cis-trans isomerization of an alkene can be brought by, it can happen by the use of triplet sensitizer. So triplet sensitizer, such as ketone. In the last class, we have seen how we have utilized the benzophenone. In this isomerization of stilbene, we can take as a typical example where the composition of the photostationary state of the sensitized isomerization varies with the energy of sensitizer employed. Now, photostationary state means you are doing the reaction at a certain point. You see the product, okay, where you have a mixture, okay, cis-trans. Suppose you have started with cis, so you will have trans, right? But you have cis also if the 100% conversion is not there, okay? And most cases what we find is that you have a mixture, okay? And at certain point we see this is a steady, I mean a steady state achieved or stationary state achieved, okay? That means you have the ratio remains the same. There is no further changes in the ratio, okay? At that point we call it is the photostationary state. Okay, so that depends on what type of sensitizer you are using, what is the energy of the sensitizer. So in this process, if the donor species, means the sensitizer, fulfills the condition of the effective sensitization and its triplet energy is greater than that of either of the geometrical isomer, so you have the triplet energy of trans, okay? Cis compound, it has the corresponding triplet, so cis. And trans, you have the triplet trans, right? If your donor is having the triplet higher than, this is the donor, okay? If the donor triplet is higher than both of them, then what we will see is that the isomerization takes place from both states. Okay, so cis can be converted to trans, trans can be converted to cis with the same donor. Okay, the initially formed cis and trans triplet excited species undergo distortion to the common platform triplet, which on collapsing to the ground state affords the mixture of isomers. Okay? So this is what we have seen in the last examples. It will first have a common twisted state, But this state now will be obtained from the triplet because you have done the sensitization by using the triplet sensitizer. So because the sensitizer can excite both isomers, the proportion of the cis trans isomer in the photostationary state from a sensitized reaction is lower than that of obtained from direct irradiation. Okay, so you have the ratio of cis trans. I mean the conversion will be low when you are using the triplet state with respect to the singlet state. Okay, so that is being told here. So this is in contrast to the unsensitized isomerization. Sensitizers of high energy give photostationary state with approximately the same composition of the isomers, 55% cis, while direct photolysis results the higher proportion of cis isomer, 93%. Okay, so if you can do the direct chemistry, direct sensitization, I mean direct photochemistry, then you will have more product formation with respect to the indirect or the sensitized route. Okay. Now in the sensitization process, as it is, I mean, it is well known. So you have to irradiate the sensitizer. It will be first generating the singlet state, excited state, then it will undergo the intersystem crossing to generate its triplet state, and then triplet will react with the alkene. So alkene will be converted to now the triplet state, and then it will undergo 90-degree rotation, okay, to have the twisted form, and then from twisted form it will come to the product cis. Okay. Now the composition of photostationary state depends very much on the triplet energy sensitizer. With sensitizer having triplet energy above 60 kilocalorie per mole, cis trans ratio is slightly more than 1. Okay, cis trans ratio is slightly more than 1 because you have formation of cis product a bit more in the I mean in the photostationary state. But if you have the triplet energy of 52 to 58 kilocalorie per mole offered by the sensitizer, what we will see, we will have a higher cis trans ratio. Okay, higher cis trans ratio. So in that case, you have cis much more than trans. Okay, what you are doing, you are converting your trans to cis. Okay, so it is very obvious. Generally, you can ultimately this 52 to 58. What we find is that this is higher than the triplet state of trans, but lower than the triplet state of cis. Okay, that's why it is happening. For most of the alkene. The higher cis trans ratio in this region results from the fact that energy required for the excitation of the trans isomer is less than for excitation of cis isomer. That is the thing what I just told. The sensitizers having triplet energies in the range of 52 to 58 kilocalorie per mole selectively excites the trans isomer. Okay, since the rate of cis trans conversion is increased, the composition of the photostationary state will be enriched with the cis isomer. So that is the thing you have to know. Okay, so another route of cis trans isomerization is the halogenated route. So sometimes photochemical cis trans isomerization may also take place in the presence of halogens. Okay, it appears that under this condition or halogenated condition, there is a photochemical product of halogen atom tension the alkene yielding a radical. Elimination of halogen from this radical yields a constant ratio of cis and trans isomer. So what is happening? You have the halogen that is being cleaved so to its the radical atoms, okay, and then this gets added to the alkene, okay. So you have the addition and you have generation of alkene. And then what can happen, since this addition generates the single bond now, so it can have the dissociation, and that will produce uh, the trans isomer, okay. So if you have cis here, initially it will form this one and it can undergo rotation to give the trans, okay. And when the radical is forming, that time itself the trans radical can form, which can undergo just to recombine to have uh, the cis isomer back, okay. So that process is also known. So this is all about the cis trans isomerization of the alkene via different routes. One is unsensitized or non-sensitized route, direct route. Another is sensitized route, and the third one is the halogenated route. Okay. Now let us move to Paternobuchi reaction. So Paternobuchi reaction is, as I told, one of the first photocycloaddition reaction. First photocycloaddition reaction to be studied was the formation of oxytane from addition of carbonyl compounds to alkene. So you have carbonyl and you have alkene, okay? So that you have the formation product. So this reaction is known as the Paternobuchi reaction. For example, benzophenone with isobutene gives a high yield of oxytane. So you have this benzophenone, you have isobutene. If you irradiate, okay, under light, what you have? A four-member cyclic ether, okay. So we call this is oxytane. Now, addition, this Paternobuchi reaction are of two types, particularly in terms of the electron density. So, addition to electron-rich alkene, so your alkene can be electronically rich, and your alkene can be electronically deficient. So, addition to the electron-rich alkene, mechanistic studies have shown that the reaction pathway varies according to the type of carbonyl compounds uh, and the alkene involved. Somebody you can either maybe you can switch off your microphone. Adding of simple aliphatic or aromatic ketones to electron-rich alkene involves attack on the ground state alkene by the N-Pfister triplet state of the carbonyl compounds in a non-concerted manner, giving rise to all possible isomers of the oxytane. Okay, oxytane. The reaction is non-concerted because the reactive excited state is a triplet state. So triplet state, if it is, you have a non-concentrated mechanism. The initial adduct of this reaction is a triplet 1,4 diradical, which must undergo spin inversion before giving rise to the product. Okay, so product formation is happening after spin inversion, means you have the intersystem crossing is happening triplet to singlet. So here you have the example. So you have benzophenone. It is undergoing the excitation, generated its triplet state. So this is the triplet state of benzophenone. You have the two radical in the same direction, same spin, and it is reacting with the ground state of the alkene. Okay. Now you have When you are having the ground state, what does it mean? You have the electron in this way, paired opposite, right? Singlet, 0. So what will happen is, if this is the spin, so it can take, this is the same spin, okay, upward direction. So if it is reacting to this carbon center, if the oxygen is reacting to this carbon center, so it will take the electron of this carbon in the opposite spin, okay. So this is upward, so it will take the downward to make a bond, and then it will be leaving the another carbon nearby having the spin upward direction, okay. Getting? So that is that kind of thing will happen, okay. So what it tells is that ultimately you will have the product biradical formation with the same spin, okay. So this is upward direction. This carbon, if it is binding, so that will take the downward direction. Definitely this will be upward direction. So after reaction, so that two bound, okay, they make the bond. Now it is left with, this is upward and this is upward, okay. So that means they are triplet state. So you can think like this one. So both are in this state, same direction, okay, same direction. So this is triplet. This one again, if the oxygen is binding to this carbon, so it will be taking the opposite direction spin of this carbon, and it will leave another carbon having the same directional spin with the carbon of the ketone, okay. So that is the thing. So this is the triplet. Now triplet, you cannot have the bond formation. So in that case, you should have the spin inversion. That means you have intersystem crossing. So intersystem crossing will happen and you have the spin inversion, and then you have bond formation. So ultimately you will have two oxygen formation, right? Now I'll ask one simple question to you. Who can tell which product among these two will be the major one? Which is the major one? It is this one or this one? One or two? Which one will be the major? Quickly, who can tell? Who can tell? Somebody should speak out.
Sir, 2.
Second, sir.
2 or 1? Which one? Two is the major? Since
Yes, sir,
you
2.
have all the bigger groups are opposite directions, is it? Everybody agreed with that one? Anybody has any opposite opinion? Quickly. So should I tell what is the correct answer? Or somebody will still try to justify? None of you?
Sir, 1.
So what is the reason behind you? I mean, to be 1 the correct answer? The correct answer is 1. So you have 90% formation of 1 and 10% is the 2. Okay, so here let me tell you. Now you have the biradical, right, of this benzophenone after excitation, triplet state. Now we have carbon and oxygen, two centers having two radical. Tell me Between these two radical, which radical is the more reactive? It is the oxygen radical or the carbon radical in this particular form? Which radical is more reactive? Quickly, this is, you should not take time.
Oxygen, sir.
Huh? Which radical, Nasrin, is stable? I mean, more reactive. Of benzophenone, you have the, after excitation, triplet state is generated. That means you have two radical formation. One is on carbon, another is on oxygen. Now, in the Bernoulli reaction, they are going to make the bond. Okay. Now, which radical is more reactive between carbon and oxygen here? Who is going to give the answer quickly? It is the oxygen radical, right? Which is more reactive. Because the carbon, you have the nearby stability factor. You have the benzene, right, ring. So you have the stability of this radical. That means it is less reactive. So it is the oxygen which is going to first make the bond formation. Okay. Now it will make the bond formation definitely to a center. Okay. So what I was telling is the between carbon and oxygen, you have the oxygen center is the most reactive one. Okay. In this case, so the oxygen is going to react to a center. So you have two carbons right here in the another substrate, alkene. So it will react to a center to generate one more stable radical. Okay. Now if the oxygen is reacting with you have oxygen is reacting with this center, it will generate this radical, right? And if the oxygen is reacting with the another center, okay, if it is reacting with this center, so it will generate this radical. Now here the radical formation is CH2 dot, and here you have the radical formation, okay, this radical. So definitely this radical is more stable than this radical. So what we find is that this formation will be more, this will be less. Okay. So that means this is more, this is less, and then you have formation, this will be more. Okay. Now let us look at addition to electron deficient alkene. So electron deficient alkene, so photocycloaddition of aliphatic ketones to electron deficient alkenes, particularly dicyanoethane, involves addition of singlet state. Okay, so you have what we see is that for deficient alkene, it accesses the singlet state chemistry of the ketone. Okay, so singlet state n-pi star excited ketone to ground state alkene. The reaction is stereospecific and the stereochemistry of the alkene is retained in the product of cetane. So you have this is your the examples You have benzophenone here, keto. This is cis dicyanoalkene. So if you sign it, what is going to happen? They are going to make the oxytane and your stereochemistry is maintained. So this will be up or it can be down based on the, you will have two product formation. Stereochemistry maintained means the cis will be having cis. Okay, so you have this formation, now methyl. Okay, similarly, if you have the trans, so this is cis, this is trans, what you have here, you have the formation of another, so this is trans, okay, up down, so it can have the opposite also. This is up, this is down. Okay, so that is being maintained. Now this is a bit easier, but what makes the problem is if you have the electron deficient alkene which is not having the same group here, okay, which is not having the same group. Say suppose, okay, so before that, while oxytenes are formed only from a singlet state and the triplet state, stereochemistry suggests that the cis-trans isomerization of electron deficient alkene does not lead to the oxytane. So it is happening from singlet state, not from triplet state. So what can be done with the triplet state? So triplet state, it can sensitize the alkene to have the cis-trans isomerization. Got the point? So the benzophenone, it has the singlet state as well as the triplet state, and it can easily slide down to the triplet state. So its triplet state is easily accessible. So what the triplet state can be doing its job is to do the cis-trans isomerization. So this is the cis. So what it will do, it will interact with the benzophenone and it will make the trans that we have learned in the previous section, the cis-trans isomerization. And if you are having the starting material trans, so what we will find, you have the formation of cis alkene, that chemistry will be having. Okay, so this is, we should not forget. So that thing will happen. So what is the ultimate problem in this process is that you have the formation of, so you have started with suppose cis, eventually in your reaction medium you will have trans also, right? And now you have the cis and trans both. So what you will have in the last slide, what you have seen, cis gives this product, trans gives this product. So you will have the mixture of product formation. Okay, so that will be the problematic part of this electron deficient alkene. Okay, so the electron deficient alkene having no change of isomerization. In that sense, you have suppose this as your electron deficient alkene. Then what will be your product? Okay, so in oxytane formation, you can have, one is this can be cyano, or you can have, there are two options, right? It can have this as cyano. So what is going to happen? Okay, this is the important question actually. And to be more specific, this particular problem, it gives rise to a single product, I am telling. So you will have a single product formation. So you have a chance of both, but you have the formation of single product. So which one will be measure. So how to decide that one? I'm not asking this question to you directly. Maybe you can start thinking what will be the reason, but I'm telling the reason so that we can save some time. Okay, so this is quite interesting. Uh, in this case, what we have to think is that you have to remember one thing is when the bond formation is happening, you have the overlap between the orbitals, right? And the overlap between the orbitals will be more stronger or more better when you have the similar sizes of orbitals interacting. Suppose you have bigger orbital and you have smaller orbital, so your overlap will not be good. Okay, so this overlap will not be good. But if you have similar size, so they will have good overlap. Okay, so this is the fact we know. Now based on that, we have the product formation here. Okay, now this compound, when you are doing the photochemistry, you have generally the interactions of HOMO and LUMO of the two interacting orbitals, right? Now since photochemistry you are doing, your HOMO actually is being changed to SOMO. Okay, what does it mean? Your electrons is being jumped from HOMO to the LUMO of the same molecule. Okay, because it is getting excited. So for this keto, you have one HOMO initially and you have a LUMO, right? Now when you are shining light, what is happening? The LUMO is getting populated. Okay, it's being excited, electron jump is happening. Now this is we call the SOMO, singly occupied molecular orbital. Now instead of so-called HOMO, it is the SOMO which is reacting or interacting with the LUMO. So LUMO is from this alkene. Okay, getting? Now what we have to do is we have to look at their orbital presentation. Okay, now how we'll do that one? You can think the formation of the pi bond. So you have 2p orbital. Okay, this is from oxygen. Oxygen is more electronegative. Okay, so this is less energy, and this is the 2 methyl pushing electrons, so you have the more energy of this one. Okay, so this is the energy scale. So what happened is that two orbitals, they are interacting to make two molecular orbital. Okay, now this is your bonding. So bonding, how it will look like? This is closer to this one, right? So that means your orbital from oxygen will be bigger here, and orbital from carbon is smaller. Okay, got it? This is your pi molecular orbital. So what will be the pi star? Pi star is the LUMO. So how the pi star will look like? Opposite to that. So your oxygen will be smaller and carbon will be bigger. Okay, so this is your so-called SOMO. So you are having the SOMO here. Now for this case, your SOMO is how you will do that one? You have CH2, so you have the formation CH2, so CH2 we have P, and you have another CHCN. Okay, you have P. So this is electron withdrawing, so that is energy lower. And you have the similar fact here. So you have, this is your LUMO, or we can have pi star, and this is the pi HOMO. Okay, this is. So what is happening here? This LUMO is interacting. So how the LUMO will look like? You have the bigger, this is closer to this one. So you have carbon, this will be bigger, CH2, and CN, so that will be smaller. Okay, CN. Now your interaction is happening. This is the LUMO and this SOMO interaction is happening. So this is the bigger and this is the bigger. So they will make the bond. Did you get the point? So you have, this is smaller oxygen and this is bigger. So what will happen is this is smaller CN and this is bigger CH2. Okay, so you have the bond formation happening. The bigger, similar size, and similar size will be more. So what will be your product? The product will be this one. So oxygen. So this is the cyano. Okay, so this will be the major, I mean the single product. Got it? So this is the product we'll be expecting in this. I mean, this is the product forms in this reaction. Okay, I hope you have understood the whole chemistry here. So if you have any doubt, you can ask now, or you can listen the talk later on and make your doubt, clear your doubt. Okay, so I'm moving forward further. Now oxetane formation with dienes and alkynes. Okay, you have diene and alkyne. So addition of carbonyl compounds to conjugated diene is also feasible. The triplet energy of diene is usually less than that of carbonyl compound. However, the formation of oxetane competes successfully with excitation energy transfer because dienes quench the T1 state. Thus, formation of oxetane occurs from S1 state of the carbonyl compound. So here what we find is that you have the chemistry is obtained from the singlet state of the carbonyl. Okay. So what we'll see is that this is your carbonyl and you have this diene. We see the formation of this one. Okay. And what logic I have shown, you can apply the same thing here in the last slide what I have discussed, and you will find out why this is forming this one, why not this one, why not this one. Okay, similarly you will have the another argument for this one. The same thing, you have the same product formation. Here you look at the stereochemistry, but this is also will be the similar. You have another product with this stereochemistry. This is up or down. Okay, so both will be up or both will be I mean one up, one down, that can happen. Okay, so this chemistry we find for diene. With alkynes, it is a bit interesting. So you have benzophenone, you have alkyne here. Now it will make the oxetane first. So you have this four-membered ring formation. So here triple bond. So one bond will be reacting. You will have remaining another double bond. And then you will have the opening of this bond. So it will produce the alpha beta unsaturated. So alpha beta unsaturated carbonyl compound. Okay. So reactions of carbonyl with the alkene under photochemical condition produces the oxetane intermediate, which further gets converted to the alpha beta unsaturated carbon compounds. Okay, this is a bit important. Now, intramolecular Bernoulli reaction, this is also will be the similar way. You have, in this case, remember your, in the molecule, you have to have carbonyl as well as unsaturation, CC double bond. So generally the gamma delta enone, okay, is the substrate which undergoes the Bernoulli reaction. Okay. Now here you have the example, you have alpha, beta, gamma, delta. So you have gamma delta unsaturated carbonyl. So what it will do is it will undergo Bernoulli reaction. So you have the excitation, you have the biradical formation, and now you have the ring formation. So it will make this one. So you have a radical here. Now it will generate this two radical, and finally you will have this as your product. Okay. Similarly, you have, suppose this is a bit different type, but anyway, you have the molecule having keto and alkene, both are there, so it will undergo Bernoulli reaction, and you have here biradical formation. So this oxygen is reacting to a center, this one, and it is producing more stable radical, this one, and then you have the connection between these two radicals. Okay. Now you have another example. You have this as your another substrate. So you have alkene, you have keto. So if you sign like, what will happen? It will generate this biradical route, and then you have the product formation. Okay, and then that two will be connected, and you'll have this as your product. Okay, so this is all about your Bernoulli reaction. Hope you have understood most of the part of the today's discussion. If you have any queries, you can quickly ask, or if you want to go through and ask later on, that is also fine. So do you have any queries? Anything you want to ask? Okay then, so if you don't have anything, let me stop here. I'll be giving both the PDF as well as the video file for yesterday's class as well as today's class today itself. Okay, so thanks for joining today's class. Thank you.
Thank you.